Hello everyone and welcome to 4KB Shorts Bargain Bin with Scavenger SV4. Scavenger SV4 is billed as a roguelike title. It is made by a single gentleman by the name of, let me get his name correctly, Derek Rule. Derek Rule claims in his manual, and yes, there is a game manual and it's very fun to read, you should absolutely read it. But he claims in his game manual that he has created this game by himself over the course of 5 years, and as you can see with his credits here, he's gotten some additional assistance by Michael Flannery II for title music, which I have disabled for reasons. And apparently he's done everything: simulations, configuration, shader, science consultant, cabin music, toolchain, producer, concept, enemy, AI. He's got like everything, including apparently the fonts. So Derek claims he's made it all over the course of 5 years, with some assistance from Christine Rule, Jennifer Combs, Raven Alder, Kim Raymore, Jeff Rule, Raven Black, and T. Brannigan. So what is Scavenger? Well, as it is stated, it is a roguelike game, and roguelike in the sense that you get one chance to do a task. If you fail or if you succeed, you then finish that game, and then you continue on and you do it again with some changes to your game. There are some people who don't like the idea of roguelikes being called roguelike, so they call them roguelite, and I guess this could be considered a roguelite due to the fact that it is a game where you don't get to save. That is that is really the best definition of the roguelikeness of this, is you cannot save your game. You can save and quit and then come back, but as the manual states, and please read the manual, it's a hilarious manual, it's a wonderfully well-written manual, it states that you cannot go and just reload your game at any time if you screw up. So what is the point of the game? Well, we'll go ahead and start a new game, and I'll show you the point of the game. So when you first start a new game, you get this little guy right here. It randomly generates your information. You can generate it again, which again will randomly generate your information. In this case, you can change any one of these. You can be female or male. It'll choose a random name for you. Petro Simenyov, Chris H. Barnes, so on and so forth. So you can go male, female, Joe Owens. But I'll go ahead and be a male, and we'll just go ahead and be 4KB short, because that is who I am. Look at that. Now we have the ship's name is the Odyssey. Instead of that, we'll say subscribe, because if that's not a blatant request, I don't know what it is. So we'll just call it the subscribe because we can. And so you have some paint jobs. Now these paint jobs don't really matter. Again, it's a roguelike. You can have these paint jobs as nice as you want or as dirty or ugly as you want. And you can go outside the ship, but I have never found a reason to do so on purpose. So the VF103 looks like it's got some pirate paint jobs. You got a Desatio, Angel, Nun, and of course then you have your color, which allows you to color your ship to look like different things. Now personally, when it comes to the screens, I have actually become a real big fan of purple, because this not only takes place with the outside of your ship, like the exterior of your ship, it also tells you what your HUD's going to look like, what all your interface is going to look like. So this color will be your actual in-game color. So let us go ahead and start. I want to go ahead and let you guys know, if you don't hear any music in the background, any sounds, the sounds are because there's some limited sounds, and the music is because I've actually disabled the music, because there are no volume controls. The volume is on. It is on or it is off. And since the volume is just on, it can get rather loud. So I have disabled the music. You can run some music in the background while you're playing the game, just whatever you'd like to play, Vivaldi or something, I don't really care. Space music works really well, or anything will work really well for you. We're going to go ahead and begin a game, and then we're going to fly off into the distance. Now, the point of the game is the planet Bleak and Enigmatic keeps secrets. So, as this suggests, there is a planet, and that is a consistent, that is your world, your dungeon as it were, since it is a roguelike. So here's the sounds that you can hear. We have a guitar, apparently, in the picture of a spaceport. And now, as you can see, I am kind of floaty, and it is because we are in space. There is an option to enable gravity, so you can walk around as normal, but I just like being a tiny floating head, so I'm going to stick as that. These guys are always random, which is nice. Sometimes you get a guitar, sometimes there's a painting, sometimes there's like a vase here, and there'll be something here, and some painting. So there's some random stuff that goes on with your roguelike. Now, as you can see, there's the planet above us, this nice big green ball. One of the other things about the roguelike is that the planet will change colors as well. So today we get a green ball. And you get a little tiny story with your character. And so we have a little story here. You can read your terminal here. Personal log of 4KB short aboard the ISC 135. Subscribe. Now, With that, please note that all of your interactions with the game will be in the form of these terminals, and it's kind of glowing here, and it suggests that I should click on it, and I can. And I click on it, boop, I become centered, and I have this little icon here, and then I right click and I get left out of it. And so that's how you interact with basically everything. And so this is what it says to me. So I'm out in the armpit of nowhere when the proximity alarm goes off. The huge chunk of rock where it has no business being, not on any of the nav charts, and yet there it is. Dodged the big chunk, but there was a bunch of gravel around it. Banged the port wing up awfully bad. Had to break out the repair kit to stop an atmosphere leak in the ready room. I went back to check it out. Not a wisp of anything worth the fuel cost to drag it back. Figures. Getting things fixed back to Ceres cost me $2,000 that I can't really spare. Things are looking up. Discovered a discarded heavy booster from the old days. I think it'll be worth a fair bit. Sold it for $1,900 to a collector of old junk. Frickin' figures, zero-sum game. I decided to leave Ceres today. I'm tired of ecking together a hold full of crap that sells for just barely more credits than what I spent stripping and hauling it. It really hit me, looking at the usual crowd. Same quiet desperation. Nobody here is doing much better than me. I've been doing this for 7 years now. I met an old-timer, Floyd Little. Been doing this for 27. And all it got him was tired and broken. I'm going to head out for the rim, base out of Carter Station for a while. It's got to be better than this. So this is Carter Station, huh? The names are different, everything else is the same. I heard talk of a big comet swinging through. A giant parabolic orbit shows up once every 70,000 years. Think I'm going to check it out. What is this thing? So the heavy isotope scanner picks up something in the cometary ahead, and that's hot as hell. Point source basically real small. My first guess is it's a slug of uranium or something. Good money. I launched a rover to go fetch it. What I found is man-made. No, that's not the right word. It's manufactured. I think it's some kind of machine, or was. It crashed into the comet head, melted deep into the ice, and has been riding around for a long, long time. I don't think it was made by any human. It's too weird. So think about this. Obviously, this thing has got to be worth money, serious money. I could sell it, $100,000, $200,000. With money like that, I could be doing alright. Fix the subscribe up and do a couple upgrades. But that leaves me doing the same damn thing I've always been doing, just a little better off. But then I get another idea. I know the comet's orbit. Computer could tell me exactly how long ago the machine hit it, based on the isotopes made from the radiation soaking up the ice. Tracing back along the comet's orbit to that point in time, it gives me a point in space where the collision happened. I can get a real good fix on the angle and velocity of the impact based on the shape of the crater and how it melted into the ice, traced back to the point in space along that vector and at that velocity, account for gravity, and I should hit the point of origin, right? Wherever this thing came from. This machine lights up the isotope detector like a beacon. It's easy to spot if you know what you're looking for. If I get even remotely close to anything else like it, I'll spot it by the radiation signature. I could be the first one there, strike a claim on something like that, and I'd never have to pick through asteroids again. The plotted trajectory looks like it points at a star system about 6 months out, past the rim. As far as I can tell, nobody has ever looked at it up close. It's crazy. Course confirmed. I've arrived at a planet that I think is the origin. It lights up the isotope detector the same way. It's radioactive as hell. Solid overcast. I don't think it ever lifts. Layers of clouds over solid clouds hiding who knows what. I'm going to make this fast, stay in high orbit, and send a rover down and see what I can recover. So, there's some fun stuff in here. You can play Dungeon Road, which is literally a roguelike within the roguelike, if you're curious of such a thing. You can play around with that for a little bit. You can also turn the music player on, which I'm not going to, and we already read our personal logs. Now, there is a mention of the isotope and radiation. The reason why is because this planet is emitting radiation. Massive amounts of radiation. So much radiation, in fact, that it is actually killing us at this very point in time. And we can go ahead and check that out by going in here. So this is our medical bed. You will want to come in here as much or as often as possible. So we're going to sit inside here. We're going to activate our auto dock. And it's going to do some scans. Warning, radiation dosage above approved exposure limit, cellular damage detected. Treatment, radiation mitigation therapy, current dose equivalent of 466 millisieverts, post-treatment estimate of 120 millisieverts residual. We will authorize the treatment. So what this basically is, detectable radiation exposure, all available radiation treatment applied, no further mitigation possible at this moment. So, what this basically is a time limit. You can only be around this planet for so long. You put the ship in as high of orbit as you can while still maintaining control of your, well, I guess I should show it to you guys, of this, right? If I can click there. This is your drone. So this is the ISC-135 subscribes drone. which is ugly as sin, and I love it to death. This is a drone, and you use the drone to land on the planet to collect fun things. Now, while that's happening, you are slowly burning alive by radiation. So we are actually collecting or absorbing millisieverts of radiation while we're trying to do our thing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the game. We're going to run the game as best we can, because the point of the game is, as you read, or as we read, is to get here, take as much as we can, give nothing back, and hopefully we do not burn while we do it. Now we're going to click here, and we're going to do ourselves a couple of things. We're going to send our rover to the garage, and we're going to trash this radio receiver, which is only worth $30, or 30 credits. Now the reason why we're going to do that is because the point of the game is to get as much money as you possibly can before you die. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove some things. We're going to remove the aux generator, the compass, the survey map, status display. We're then going to adjust this, put this here. Now this is how I usually always run my little guy here. So just note that if there is confusion, I will show you what we're doing. So I've played the game a few times. Now at this point we're just going to launch the rover, because we can launch it from there. Now he's going to turn, they're going to open the door, and zoop, out the door he goes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to head through this fun little HAL-filled room to our front computer, whereupon we're going to establish communication links with the rover. So here's our rover. Now we got some no signals going on, and the reason why we have no signals going on is because I tore a bunch of stuff off the rover. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add our manipulator arms to this. That's going to tell us when we're ready. From there we're going to add our microphone to here. And the rest of this is already connected, so we have a blank screen. Now as we go down, we're going to have our heat go up. We're going to have our sound. Now this is kind of fun. Now there's no sound. Re-entry is kind of loud. I don't really feel like listening to the loud, but without the microphone, whether you take it off, turn it off, or it gets blown off for some reason, the microphone is how you hear things. So you can actually turn it off to not have to hear anything. Now as you can see, we went from a very clear signal to this really crappy black and white fuzzy signal, and the reason why is because we are very far away from the planet, and there's a massive amount of radiation. Because of those two things combined, it's very hard to see anything. So this is what we're looking at. This is our main screen. Now we can move this screen simply to go right there, and we have a no signal here. So you don't have to keep these things where they are. You can move them to wherever you want. So we're going to turn the microphone back on, which is going to be very loud and obnoxious. We're going to run around, and what you're looking for is anything that looks non-natural, like this big guy here. So now we have an object nearby. We're going to pick it up. And our manipulator arm is manipulating. And boop, we got an object. We have a question mark object. We don't know what that question mark object is. We cannot tell. So we have a choice at this point. Now we have a bunch more slots we can use to fill up with whatever else we want to fill up with. If for any reason we don't want to fill it up with anything, what we can then do is we can turn around and go back up to our spaceship and go hang out. Oh, I realized I took my survey map off because I was looking around for my survey map, and it turns out I actually removed my survey map, which is my bad, because that's how you kind of map your area, and I haven't done that. Mapping an area is a way to make money as well. You can get credits from your survey, you can get credits from objects, or if you don't want any credits, you can turn around and go home anytime you want, because you'd rather not die in a fire of internal combustion death. Now, as you can see, I have control of my turret, so I can look around wherever I want to look around to. Okay. That might have been something at one time. So as you can see, there's some objects here that we can go ahead and grab, so we're going to pick up another one. Now, don't think that this is all the game has to offer either. I mean, it is, technically. However, the game is, or can be at least, very dangerous. So at the moment, there's not much in the way of danger, if only because there's nothing here that's going to attack us that I can see. But as you can see, what can you see? You see? If you want to put it that way. Each map is randomly generated, so of course what you find on said map is random. What is on the map that can hurt you is random. Sometimes it's nothing, sometimes there's some big things, sometimes there's some small things. So in this case, it looks like at the moment at least, we don't have a lot of things that want us dead. Can I touch this at all? Aha. So we're going to go ahead and pick up some stuff here. Okay, we only have 2 more objects we can carry, but I think I saw a thing over here, so we can go to this one, and then we'll go to that one over there, and that should be the last 2 objects, then we can continue. Once we find out where this object's at. Alright. Now again, your rover has many different things that it runs. If you look up in the top right hand corner, we have a power budget and a battery. Now I've already pre-fitted our ship, or our rover, with certain battery components. There it was. With certain battery components, or certain components to where the battery won't get to... I had it. Usually it's not this fiddly, so I'm being extra fiddly apparently. If I just get close enough, it shouldn't be a problem. There it is. Gotcha. Alright, that's one more. So as you can see, we have a charging at 3%, and when we turn, it drains. So we have our battery, of course, and then along with our battery, we have all of our stuff, what it's using, how it works, everything like that. Now we can turn stuff on and off, so if we wanted to turn off our microphone, we'd actually be using less battery power. Unused power is 1.1, and when you have less battery power being used, see, we're fully charged, so even turning now is no longer a problem. Now, we've already gone around, we filled up our entire ship, so we're going to go ahead and take off, and all we have to do that is hit the recall button. Now, we're not beholden to this screen. If we want, we can literally walk away, and the screen will continue to update even at a distance. So if you want to set your ship to fly down, and then walk away to go do something like, oh, I don't know, check to see how much radiation you have, you can do that. So we're going to activate the auto dock once again. We're going to check our radiation levels. Now, it looks like our millisieverts are up to 866, and post-treatment estimate at 333, so we will authorize treatment. And as far as I can tell, there is no negative to authorizing your treatment. Alright, oh, yeah, you can click out of the screens while you're still stuck inside the auto dock, which is kind of annoying. Aha! Fatal error system crash. Okay, this is actually a side effect of the radiation, of course. Pieces of equipment do not like radioactive isotopes flying through them. So we're going to go to the user terminal, we're going to click this little guy, and you're going to force a reboot. And so it's currently rebooting. So we're going to leave this area, and we're going to head back into the other room. And one of the things I love about this game is how 1990s it looks. The Orbital Consortium, or BIOS, Orbital Consortium, CPU, it's got all sorts of data on there. This is fun to watch because it's just this little guy booting up. But what I really enjoy about this is the fact, unfortunately we can't do anything with our cargo at the moment until this reboots. And done. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and click this. We're going to bulk unload our rover. Boop. Just like that. Now that our rover is bulk unloaded, he's going to start doing this. And I love these little tramway systems. Basically, it's a pneumo tube that runs through your ship. And as things get loaded into different things, they move around. So those 4 are going to go in there. And then he's going to pull one out. And it's going to go down. And I think this one should pop up here. Maybe. Well, no, looks like it's going to the cargo room. So if we go over to the cargo room, there it is. Or was. Do we get another one? Hello? Ah, no, I missed it. But yeah, so there we have the cargo room, which it fills up. So this is your inventory. It can't be any bigger. Your inventory is only as big as it is. But what you can do is you can actually fill up everything. Anything that's gray you can fill up. So we can put extra stuff in our rover, we can leave stuff in the garage, we can put things in the science lab, we can leave stuff in the cargo bay, and we can store stuff in our storage container. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to do what kind of the bulk of the game is right now. We're going to move all this stuff over here. So those things are going to go and do the organization stuff. And you don't have to wait for them to finish in order to fix this. What you can do is you can click on here, and then we're just going to research all. Now the research is really interesting because as you're researching stuff, the computer will go completely crazy. So each one of these bands is a research object. So if you're only researching one, only one band will be on, 2 for 2, 3 for 3. Same thing with these little guys right here. And this little guy will tell you what it's doing. Electron backscattering, proceeding to electron amplification, so on and so forth. And what it does is it has 3 phases. So if we click on this first one here, Insufficient data for assessment, further research required, so we have no idea what it is. 100%. This is a mechanical object. So is that one. So initial research has determined this engineered object is predominantly mechanical in nature. So we're going to wait very patiently. Now, you don't have to wait, of course. You can leave and you can send your rover back down to the surface instantly. You can say, okay, rover, you're done. But we're actually going to send the rover back to the garage really quick, because I want to show you some other things with our little guy. I already showed you what I would consider the maximum setup. I will show you what the actual setup is going to look like. Okay, so we have a phase 2 here. This is an unknown object. Initial research has been inconclusive. Further research is required. Preliminary conjecture is unavailable pending further analysis and insufficient data. So these are getting done. This one's getting done with phase 2. So when we get to phase 3, there it is, thermal. So this device has conspicuous heat radiating fins and contains thermostatic elements that react to temperature. Preliminary conjecture device is thermal in nature, but whether it's a positive thermal or a negative thermal, we don't know. Same thing here, launcher. The device appears to be an arrangement of equipment around a central launch tube. Additional research is necessary to determine the nature of the projectile and capabilities of the system. So those things are going to do some research while we float our happy butts over this way. And we're going to take a look at this little guy, and we're going to go ahead and put some of this stuff back. So we're going to put the compass back, yes. Survey map, yes. Status display, yes. And the auxiliary generator. So I'm going to put all this back on board our little guy. And the reason why is because I showed you my initial build, the one I like to utilize, versus the actual build, the one they give you initially. So things are going to be a little out of order, but that's okay, because we're just going to go ahead and launch said rover. Bye-bye, rover. So rover's going to launch while we check out our other stuff. Are these guys almost done? Oh, here's one that's almost done. So the rover's actually heading out right now, and we can go over to the console and take a look at it if we want to. But what we're going to do is we're just going to check this one out here, wait for it to get up to 90%. And you can even look, I think, out the window. You should be able to see, yep, there goes his engine. So there he goes. So you can follow him. We could actually get into a spacesuit. We do have a spacesuit. There is one available. Nothing on our desktop there. I was hoping there was a little statue or something. So you have a spacesuit, you can get into it. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't make radiation any less damaging, but you can go outside your spaceship. As of this moment, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it is a viable option if you want to. Ah, here we go. So now we have a Heavy Flamer 332i. The purpose of this device is uncertain. It consists of a thermally insulated open-ended chamber ringed with unknown structures. When activated, it emits a high-temperature cloud of conflagrating materials. The emission pressure is insufficient for efficient propulsion. Device could be used as an offensive weapon. Damage output is lower than initially estimated. So that kind of gives you an idea when it says damage output is lower than initially estimated. What that means is that it estimates that the thing should cause a massive damage, but the game itself has decided that it's not. So that's a random element of that item. Sometimes it'll say it uses more power, uses less power, is very heat efficient, is not very heat efficient, so on and so forth. So now we have our survey map. So that's this little guy right here, which we're going to move up to that window. We have our compass, which I think we'll go ahead and choose for this window. And I believe that's actually everything that we'd normally have on here. Status display, we'll put here. Select screen for status display, status display, status assigned, status display. Okay, so we have a status display for our ship. So as you can see, this is kind of what it goes for. This is actually hugely different than this. Screens 1 and 6 swapped. So as you can see, dragging screen, dragging module. So this will tell you certain things like what's going on with your little guy, what you've done, what you've touched. It's not a very important module, but it's there. Trying to go up this hill and it's extremely difficult. Alright, so now we can only carry 3 objects, but we're going to go ahead and pick up whatever this is here. We're not using as much power as I thought we would anyway, so we're still not using, see, sample S957 recovered. So we're going to continue moseying along, and you can kind of see where you've been with your little map here. And this is not the only way you'll be able to see stuff. You can find different cameras. You can find thermal cameras. You can find IR still cameras. Bodies in tubes. Ah, bodies in tubes. That's a very interesting object. I've actually found that object before. Very interesting description. Let's see. Is this looks like a building over this way. We're going to head this way. So we have a compass, and the compass will tell us which way we're pointing. Again, these are not things that you really require, and the reason why is because you can kind of infer which way you're going based on how your survey map is moving. But you have that option. That right there is kind of 20Y augmented drive. Is that what I think it is? Yes, I believe it is. Okay, cool. So we're going to go over here and I'm going to pick up whatever this little guy over here is. And it sounds like our research has stopped because there's no longer anything beeping behind me. Okay, we're going to keep driving really quick. And should be an object right in the middle here. Okay. Perfect. All right. So this little guy right here, if he's alive, and he is not. Is not. Is he? Is. Okay. Ouch. So this is an alien of some kind. We've just been shot. As you can see, this is now yellow because we've been hit. He was using what I know what it is. I'm not going to spoil it and tell you what it is, but I know what he was using. So we got shot. It didn't damage anything else, but it did damage this little guy right here, which was in our cargo hold. We just found it. Now it's broken. Or at least partially broken. On top of that, since he did shoot us, he will follow us around. There are flying creatures. There are roving creatures. There he is right there. He's following us. There are roving creatures. The problem is you don't know what they are. They could be robots. They could be alien creatures that are non-radioactive. The thing, or they're not susceptible to radiation. The problem is that, of course, it's hard to tell because they use a lot of the same stuff we do. And you can actually pick up items off, like if you fight them, if you get a laser weapon or a lightning gun or a missile launcher, you can then turn around and utilize that against them. So we're going to exit the link here really quick. And we're going to go check our radiation levels because it's been a little while. So we're going to head over here really quick and we're going to click on here, activate our auto dock. And you can do this as much or as little as you want to. The first time I played, I didn't even know this was a thing. I was up to 3600 millisieverts. Yeah, 1200 to 606. So we're going to authorize treatment. I was up to 3600 millisieverts. It literally said I had no immune system. I had tumors everywhere and I was literally dying. There was no way to get away from that. So, you don't need it, but if you leave it for too long, you will eventually die. But you can go pretty high before you do. So we'll look at this augmented drive. The research facility has succeeded despite substantial difficulties processing this sample. This propulsion module is a powerful motor that can be adapted to augment the rover's onboard drive systems. This may result in increased acceleration, top speed, and/or turning performance. This device is remarkably efficient and consumes an unusually small amount of electrical power in operation. So what that means is when it says unusually small amount of electrical power, it's basically like saying this would be a thing that you could use, but this one uses much less power than it normally would. And you have little stats like base power consumption 1.5 units, active power consumption +2, so that'll be 3.5. Heat when powered 80, and heat when active 200. We have linear speed and rotation speed is 2828, and its estimated value is 3700. Same thing with the heavy flamer. We have some information here when it's, how accurate it is, things like that. And then we have bodies and tubes. This artifact consists of several small cadavers sealed within transparent tubes. Sample test negative for any metabolic activity or ongoing chemical reactions. Purpose unknown. Conjecture ceremonial burial. Alternative conjecture food rations. So you either buried them or you ate them. Or possibly both. So we're going to go ahead and move this stuff over here, and then we're also going to bulk unload our rover. Now, you have an option with your rover, and anything broken is you can attempt to fix it. So what that means is this little guy right here that is yellow, I can take it over to the garage and attempt to repair it. Now the problem with that is that a repair attempt on an alien artifact. So if you attempt to repair your stuff, it'll usually come out as 100% because it's your item. However, if you attempt to repair an alien item, you're going to end up with something like this. Estimated probability of failure 40%. Estimated probability of catastrophic failure 60%, excuse me, I cannot read. So we're not going to do that because if you sell it, it doesn't matter if it's damaged. It only matters if you try to use it. But we're going to do ourselves a favor. We're going to put this here, we're going to put this here, and we're going to put this here. And I think we'll research this one too. And then we're going to do ourselves a little bit of a bigger favor, and I'm going to show you guys something kind of fun. So we're going to go ahead and put these on here. We're going to do a little bit of research while we walk away. Now, as you can see, this one already has a phase 2 at 38%. The reason why is because our system recognized this as a mechanical device. It already knows what a mechanical device looks like, and so it's already given us that particular notation. So as you research things, researching gets easier, if only because some objects will already have been partially researched, and your computer's pretty smart and knows how to do that, which is great. So it's moving a little bit faster for that one. Doesn't guarantee it'll be anything good, it just means that we already know what a mechanical device is. And so you get little stacks like that. Now, here's a fun little fact about these little guys. you don't have to know what they do in order to install them. You can just kind of infer from what they are, what they do. So we modified our rover, we added these two unknown devices to it. Now, we're taking a look at our rover here, which I don't see any changes bodily. Well, there's that, which looks like a... Okay, so this looks like a rear view camera mount, which we didn't have before. So there's a chance that one of the two devices we just stuck on our rover is a rear camera mount. So we go over here to our rover. Now we can launch it, but we don't want to. We're going to establish communications with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to select a screen, and we're going to power this on. And now we have some alien data. It looks trajectory in nature, but it's hard to tell exactly what it's doing. I have no idea. So we're going to take this little guy, we're going to turn him on. Boom. Okay, so here we go. So this is a rear camera. Unfortunately, the rear camera is locked. It won't do anything except be a rear camera, but now we have a rear camera, which is a very bug-eyed camera. So we have that as an option. So we just did those two things to kind of see what they were. The first one, no idea what it is. It's probably some kind of radio transmitter or something similar. It could be anything. We don't know, but now, and if we ever want to research it, we have to uninstall it. And then load it into our research center. Okay, so these are going to take a little while because, of course, they are very, very, very large. Even this one is phase 1 something and it's not even done yet. It's electrical, whatever it is. Well, that's nice. Alrighty. So, after you've gone to the planet, you've done your thing. Maybe your rover's been damaged. Maybe it's been lit on fire. Maybe some aliens took a chunk out of it. Maybe it got blown up. Or maybe your cargo hold is full. And you can discard items if you want to, like we were doing before with some of our pieces of equipment. If you don't like what an item is or how much it's worth, you can discard it and make room for more objects. But you always have to remember that you are under the constant threat of radiation. And that you could die, well, not at any moment, but it does affect your final score, which we'll get to here in a minute. Now, you're not required to research everything either. The idea of the game is that as on your way home, your character will automatically begin to research things for you. It will say, well, we've researched this, that, or the other thing, and now you know what's going on. So this is some status displays, compass, things like that for our ship. These are non-interactive, but they're pretty cool looking, a lathe and a drill. So, we've done some science, we've done some stuff, we found some alien things. We are, of course, about to die, so we probably want to leave. But before we do, I want to talk about the aesthetics of the ship. I love the aesthetics of the ship. I love how very 90s it looks. It looks like a very early 2000s or late 1990s game. Lots of textures that are bump mapped. Of course, as you get close, there is no 3D. There are no 3D edges. It just looks 3D from a distance, and you get up close and personal, and it's not. I like how everything is backwards. System halted. Oop, it looks like our oxygen supply. Our atmospheric processor has a reboot issue, so we're going to reboot that because it's not working very well right now. There you go. There it goes. RAM 51, 62, 65. Delete to run setup. Oh, okay. Well, I wish I could do that. But it has a very 1990s feel to it. It's got lots of square edges. I mean, even if we take a look at some of the fun stuff down here, this is one of my favorite objects. You have this microscope, and as you can see, it's two triangles and a couple of squares all jammed together with some round lenses. That is so 1990s right there. And that looks like it's got pinholes. Oh, it's a breadboard. Okay, I know what that is. But it's very 1990s in its design, and I just really enjoyed that about this game, that it's so... I want to call it retro, but it doesn't feel retro. It feels good. Unlike a lot of low poly games where they say, well, we're going to make something low poly and they make it look like a cartoon. This is low poly, but they made it look low poly like they did in the 90s, where you'd get games that were low polygons but high definition textures, so that the textures themselves made things look more 3D, and I really enjoy that. It's got a very nice aesthetic to it. As you can hear with the sounds are okay. They're kind of loud to me because I have them turned up. But the sounds are okay. There are enough sounds around the game to make it okay. Music, of course, there is some music. I think I turned it off, so I don't even know if this will work. So yeah, we have some music in here. But again, there's no volume control, so you have on and loud or off and quiet, and that's really the literal everything. When you start a new game, of course, there's always a moon. So there's the moon of the planet. There's always a moon, and then there's the planet, and then there's always at least one sun Or I think there's just the one sun. But what's fun about that is the sun, the moon, and the planet will change colors. You will get different little items in your cabin to kind of give you a little bit of feel what the game is like, and of course, or like what your personality is like, and of course your personal logs will be slightly different. I have gotten some repeats already, but this one that we just got is absolutely new, so there must be enough in there to keep it fun. So in this case, there's enough of a roguelike element to where when you start the game over again, you don't feel like you're just playing the same character over and over again. You're doing the same thing and the same ship, but you can kind of choose what kind of character you're going to play. Not that it matters much because you're by yourself. But once you're done, what we're going to do is we're going to head over here really quick because I've been floating around talking for a minute. What we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to go ahead and activate the auto dock. We will get our millisieverts down a little bit. We're going to be the 866 millisieverts. And again, you can go up to like 4,000. I think 4,000 is the maximum. If you get up to 4,000, I think at that point you will literally die. And you'll get an indicator. And the reason why I thought something might be wrong is the edges of my screen, and they kind of are already. The edges of my screen started to become very, very red. And that redness was because I was basically dying. So once you're done with the game, if you haven't died or lost your rover, if you lose your rover is gone, of course. All this stuff on your rover gets blown up. I don't think the rover itself can be blown up, but once you lose your ability to see or hear or interact with anything around you, you're basically done. But there's no guarantee that that's going to happen, but it can, of course. Once you're done with everything on your rover and whatnot, if you haven't died or you feel like you're done with the game, you can go ahead and exit orbit and end the expedition. We're going to take a look at our rover. So this is where our rover went. It flew through this way, and that's where it stopped landing, of course. So we're going to go ahead and exit orbit and end the expedition. It gives us some information. The planet location changes. It's randomized, but it doesn't really matter, of course, because you're never going to tell anyone where you are. Megadon Station, the station name is randomized as well, but that's not a problem. We have Delta V available, Delta V consumption, and Delta V remaining. These are also random, and again, doesn't matter. I've never found a point where I have less Delta V than I can use, so I don't think it's a game breaking kind of bug. Acceleration and transit time are usually about the same. And then a caution, this ends the expedition and cannot be undone. So yes, we're going to say we're done. Then we are going to brace for thrust. And from here we're going to turn and apparently fly directly into the moon because we're idiots. And then once you're done with the game, you get this, which is your epilogue. So it says epilogue and then the name of your character. 4KB Short conducted a modest exploration of the planet's surface, documenting several interesting features of the lifeless cracking mesa he discovered at the landing site. He looted 10 alien artifacts from derelicts on the surface. He made use of the subscribed's research lab, granting him basic familiarity with several alien technologies. The most valuable of the items recovered was the bodies in tubes valued at 6,500 credits. In all, his collected treasures were worth a total of 40,054 credits. During his encounter, he exposed himself to a small but significant dose of hard radiation. He returned to Megadon Station knowing the contents of his cargo hold could change the course of human history. After cutting several shrewd business deals, he opened a research institute on an asteroid base. The top researchers and scientists of the colonized worlds are welcome to study the alien technology there, for a price. The access fee goes up as the institute fills, and the bidding war between nations and corporations for the last few slots became quite heated. 4KB Short enjoys a respectable cut of the credits, a handsome income for the foreseeable future. Yay, look at that! Looks like a lot of people subscribed. And that's the last time I'm making that joke. So as you can see there, you get your exploration data. That's for your survey data from your drone, the 1,994. Object recovery was basically how much everything I had in my pocket was worth, 40,054. Research, 2,558, of course, because I did a little bit of research. And then in good health times 87%. Now that's your score multiplier. But remember, when you multiply something by a percentage, you get less than the maximum. So instead of getting the 43,000 that it was actually worth, we ended up with only 87% of that score because we were unhealthy. The more unhealthy you are, the lower your score becomes, all the way up to and including death. And if you die, I believe your modifier is times 5. So you have to kind of balance out how much stuff you're going to get, how much research you're going to do, how much exploration you're going to do, with how much score you actually want at the end, or whether or not you even want to survive. And yes, you can return home basically dying, and there's some stories for that too, but I'll not spoil what they are. So our final score became 38,956. Once that's done, you end up on the high score queue, and we have some people here that I was playing this earlier, and I added some people here. We had the How Did You Live This Long, the Vladimir Ivanovich, which is a randomly generated name. I did a couple test runs for these. Our first ever run was actually Lady Fiber G at 8,000, so that tells you what I did. And then, of course, we did some other runs which caused a little more score, and then of course Muvuka Gunai, which is actually 3 different viewers smushed together into one, is 81,965. But I'm not going to spoil what these types of things are to tell you what they happen to be. You can go ahead and take a look at how you can get a negative score if you want, when you want. It's not a cheat, it's actually just a really couple stupid moves you can make, and then you leave pretty early on. But that is the whole game. So if we wanted to, we could start a new game, of course, and say, hey, new game, generate a new person, and bam, we have a new person, new color, new everything. Hey, look, it's Thunderbird 1. How wonderful is that? But that, ladies and gentlemen, is Scavenger SV4. It is a space-based roguelike where you explore a planet using a tiny drone. That's a very basic way of looking at it. You can get so many different pieces of equipment, guns, weapons for your drone to help defend yourself. You can get different kinds of cameras, audio signals like microphones, as well as radio transmitters and radio receivers, radar dishes, all sorts of fun things to upgrade your drone with. That was a very basic run, very, very quick, in and out, nice and dirty the way I like it. So, I totally hope you guys will pick up this game. Current price is $15 on Steam, so it is a wonderful thing to pick up for a very small price, especially if you like roguelikes or space games. And with that, I would like to thank you all very much for joining me on this bargain bin, and I will see you guys next video.